your perspective. Let's start with Philip Rivers and his fit there in Indy. Go ahead, Bo.
Susie, when I look at the fit, when I look at the fit, to me, the fit is great. We talked about the relationship between Philip Rivers and Frank Reich. We all know that. But more importantly, I just love what GM Chris Ballard is doing. They're in win-now mode. They made the trade for DeForest Buckner, signed him to a deal averaging $21 million a year to shore up that defense. Offensively, we know what they have with T.Y. Hilton, this offensive line, Marlon Mack, and now you add a quarterback that's going to take care of the football and is familiar with the system. I just love what they're building in Indianapolis, and Chris Ballard is a general manager who understands what he wants. And Frank Reich said, if I can get better quarterback play, it's nothing against Jacoby Brissett because they paid him money to be the starting quarterback. I don't know if they'll trade him or not, but they have a quarterback. I think now they feel comfortable moving forward with, at least for 1 year, that they think they can get them not only into the playoffs, but advance them deeper because they think they are ready to win now.
Philip Rivers with a new beginning in Indianapolis. So, Lewis, how about if you handle Teddy Bridgewater and his fit there in Carolina? I'm sorry, we're going to bring in our Hall of Famer, Steve Young. All right, Steve, which direction would you like to go here? Which is the most compelling move to you so far?
Interesting that Cam Newton is the one that's kind of the odd man out. I like Philip Rivers in Indianapolis. I think Frank and him are best friends. He's gonna get the most out of him. It looks like teams are willing to go to stretch for a one-year plan. I mean, that's never been heard of before, right? We got a team that needs to win now. We get free agency now. The full measure of it is we want to get really great players who are on their rookie contracts and try to go win it. The 49ers are trying to do that right now as well. So, in that way, it makes sense. Let's Philip, come in. Don't be reckless like you were last year. Don't be. You don't have to carry the whole thing. You have a coach that you really see eye to eye with. Fine. And Jacoby Brissett, you can't let him go. I mean, he's a quality quarterback. You can't have nobody other than a 38-year-old Philip Rivers. So I can't imagine them trading him or unless they have they want to go draft somebody. But that's interesting to me. Also, Teddy Bridgewater replacing Cam Newton in some ways. I know Cam was missing a lot of last year, but that they've moved on from Cam Newton. To me, Susie, this is a big deal that the Carolina Panthers have officially told Cam Newton, you are not a part of our future, and we bring in Teddy Bridgewater, which is very much like the mobility, the things that Cam does. And so the people in Carolina who love Cam are probably saying, well, wait a second. What is Cam healthy? If he's healthy, why don't we keep him? So Carolina has a lot of questions to answer.
Steve, it's great to have you with us. Anxious to hear your take on Tom Brady as well. So stand by. Let's get some reaction here from the group on Philip Rivers and this new beginning. And Adam has tweeted out $25 million for 1 year.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. This has been speculated for a while. When they re-sign Anthony Costanzo when he's 38 years old, you need a really good offensive line for Philip Rivers. You think about what they've done in the last 24 hours. They've obviously solidified their offense. They traded for DeForest Buckner. When you think about what's going on right now in the AFC South between them and Tennessee, it looks like there's some separation between Jacksonville and certainly what happened in Houston. So I think this is a really good move for Indianapolis. And as Booger said, it looks like they're putting their chips on the table for 1 year. But I think he's in a situation where he could be successful. He obviously knows the offense and arguably going to the best offensive line in football.
Can I say Philip Rivers is just one of the best people in the NFL. I mean, he is so sincere and such a great person. And I know 2 seasons ago when he didn't get the job done in the divisional round against the Patriots, there's so many people around the NFL that were just wanting him to prevail and to get that done in the postseason. It didn't happen. And then even last year when the Chargers lost their final 3 games to end the season and to not build upon that and get back into the postseason. And it was very disappointing for Philip Rivers, very disappointing for the Chargers. Not what he would like to see from himself, to have a season where you have 23 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. So I know this opportunity for Philip Rivers in Indianapolis just represents a chance for him to reestablish himself. He's got that same chip, fire, hunger, even that Tom Brady does, and like to prove himself in Indianapolis.
And that childlike exuberance for the game, no doubt passion and energy. Let's bring in Louis Riddick now. Louis, what's your take on Rivers now going to Indy?
Yeah, look, I've been a big fan of Philip Rivers, in particular the cerebral part of his game for a long, long time, because he has used that to really mask some of the shortcomings that he has physically. I'm a little bit skeptical of this deal. Look, I understand the connection with Frank Reich, and I understand that familiarity is really what drives these kind of transactions, and I'm all for it. But look, when you watch Phillips play last year, and we watched him down in Mexico City, this is a guy who made mistake after mistake after mistake that was very uncharacteristic of somebody of his years. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that his physical skills are just declining. They just are. They're just not the same. He just doesn't have the same horsepower in his arm. Anytime he tried to drive the ball down the field, it was either late, underthrown, it was getting picked off. He made costly errors in the red zone, turned the football over at some of the worst times. I personally think, look, for a football team like Indianapolis that many of us believe is on the cusp of doing some big things, I don't see Philipp as the kind of guy who can put you over the hump unless you have a great supporting cast around him. I don't think he's going to make everyone else better. This is very interesting to me because I love Chris Ballard and a lot of the things that he's doing. This is just one that, for me, I'm going to watch with a little bit more skepticism. And it's not because I don't respect Philip Rivers to the nth degree. It's just because I see his, like, if you compare him to Tom Brady, I see his physical status at this point much differently than Tom.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.